right now on Fox News Sunday. And hello again from Fox News in Washington. The new focus here in the Capitol is on job creation, and there was some good news Friday about strong fourth quarter growth. Joining us now to talk about the economy, the president's revised agenda, and more are four key congressional players. And gentlemen, welcome back to Fox News Sunday. Thank you. Good to be here. Let's start with the big picture. Congressman Ryan, as the top Republican on the House Budget Committee, you called the president's State of the Union speech insincere, and then you added this. Instead of changing course, he inched his rhetoric a bit to the middle while doubling down on the substance of policies he's been pushing all along. Now, the president proposed a spending freeze. He proposed tax credits. He proposed eliminating the capital gains tax for all investment in small business. To paraphrase him in the State of the Union, why aren't you guys applauding?
The spending freeze is on top of an 84% increase in domestic discretionary spending that he signed into law. The freeze is delayed 1 year, so this really isn't fiscal discipline. It's the rhetoric of fiscal discipline, but the policy of the opposite. So the tax credit idea that he's talking about, when that's been tried before in the Carter administration, it didn't work. So we're looking at what works to grow the economy, and this doesn't work. And more importantly, the debt and the deficit is just getting out of control, and the administration is still pumping through billions upon trillions of new spending. That does not grow the economy. If borrowing and spending all this money led to more jobs, then we'd be at full employment already.
Senator Bond,
all right,
we've got set the table. We've got you all involved in the conversation. There's a lot that you've talked about. Let's pick up on it. First of all, Senator Bai, Congressman Ryan, this question as to whether or not the spending freeze and the president's ideas for fiscal discipline are real or a sham. Go at it.
Well, I mean, if you look, I suspect Paul does not, but if you look at some of the far left-wing blogs and that kind of thing, they're severely criticizing the president for being too fiscally austere. My own take on it is, Paul's right. Domestic discretionary spending increased last year. I voted against the omnibus. I voted against the minibus. I voted against the bus. So, but that's last year. The question is, where do we go from here from now? This freeze is important. He's identified $20 billion, which, if you aggregate it over the next 10 years, is $250 billion less spending. Does that solve all our problems? No, but it's a step in the right direction. And his use of the veto pen. You asked me if it was a wake-up call, Chris. It is, but it's important Congress not hit the snooze button. So we need to implement these cuts and then look for long-term solutions to actually get the spending and the deficit down.
Look, a freeze is good, but so why delay it a year? I mean, the president's saying, don't do a freeze now, do it next year. And what matters in Congress when it comes to the budget is the first-year spending levels set by Congress. And so we're delaying that. So we just did an 84% increase in a very short period of time of all this new spending. The Democrats, since they took over Congress, increased domestic discretionary spending by $1.4 trillion. So there's so much spending going out the door. It's adding to the deficit. It's adding to the debt. Economists are now telling us, stop doing all of this spending. Get your handle on the debt and the deficit and lower tax rates for employers, for workers. That's the best way to grow the economy. And so that's what we're seeing. We're seeing the rhetoric of fiscal discipline, but we're not seeing the follow-through on the policy.
There are a couple of things I want to pick up on there. Congressman Van Hollen, it was interesting when the president said, I'm going to have this spending freeze in the State of the Union, and then said, and it'll start next year. Frankly, some of the members, and I think primarily Republicans, laughed at him. If it is so urgent, why not start with this budget, which he isn't submitting until this week?
Because the president understands that the most important thing you do today to address the deficit is to get the economy going. You've got to get jobs back. You've got to get the economy going. One of the biggest factors in the out-year projected deficits is the continuing drag from the economic downturn. So job number one is to get the economy going, and that's why we passed the recovery bill. That's why we've seen the most rapid turnaround in terms of GDP over a one-year period for 3 decades. And at the same time, you put in place the measures to make sure that you reduce the deficit over the out years. Now, the Senate just passed a pay-as-you-go bill, statutory pay-as-you-go, which constrains spending. It was a very important moment. The House has passed it. Unfortunately, our Republican colleagues oppose it, but I think most families understand the concept that if you have a budget and you're going to increase it somewhere else, you got to find offsets or some other way to pay for it. It's a very simple concept, a very conservative concept, and that, along with the commission and other ideas, the freeze on domestic non-security domestic spending is a good idea.
This is a good difference between just where we are on policy. We don't think taking all this money out of the private economy up to Washington and spending it through Washington is the way to create jobs. We believe we should keep that money in the economy. Look, the Democrats last year waived about $400 billion in spending on pay-go. Pay-go, when it's actually applied...
Pay-go means that if you're going to spend something, that you find a way to pay for it so it doesn't add to the deficit.
It usually just leads to tax increases, which is harmful for job creation.
Yeah, but wait. I want to bring Senator Alexander into this for a minute. We've got to talk health care. Congressman Van Hollen, is comprehensive health care reform dead for this year? When is the House going to bring it back up? And are you now looking towards smaller incremental bills?
No, it's not dead. We're in conversations with the Senate to figure out how we may be able to structure something. Certainly,
comprehensive?
We're still looking at a way to do a comprehensive legislation. Certainly, certain provisions have to be dropped out. The Nebraska deal and other portions of that, even Senator Nelson has said he doesn't want that in the bill. So there are certainly changes that need to be made, and people were justifiably upset about certain things like that deal. But the goal is still to try to get comprehensive health care passed.
And finally, Congressman Ryan, Republicans keep saying they have their own plan and that they, in fact, can do more for less.
That's right.
But let's look at the facts, and let's put them up on the screen. According to the nonpartisan Congressional Budget Office, the House Republican plan would extend coverage to 3 million people by 2019, leaving 52 million uninsured. And your health plan, because you have it in your own budget, would give a refundable tax credit of $5,700 to families to buy coverage. The average family policy costs $13,000 a year.
We do lots of things to bring down the cost of that, including high-risk pools so that people with pre-existing conditions can get affordable care. Under the bill that I proposed with Senator Coburn, Burr, and Congressman Nunes, we would get to universal coverage. We have much higher coverage numbers than the other bill you were talking about. The point is, Republicans have offered dozens of comprehensive health care plans, many of which achieve comprehensive health care reform without breaking what's working in health care. We want to fix what's broken in health care.
Okay, we have to take a break here, but when we come back, Holder made the call both to hold these civilian trials of Khalid Sheikh Mohammed and others in New York City, also to read Abdul Muttalib his Miranda rights. I want to ask you all, do you still have confidence in Attorney General Holder, or do you think that he should step down? Congressman Ryan, I want to start with you. I'm sorry, go ahead.
I think he's making the wrong decisions. We should have learned from the mistakes we made in the past. We shouldn't be Mirandizing foreign terrorists. We should send them to military tribunals. $200 million is about 4 times the startup cost of Guantanamo in the first place. So this is a mistake. He's making the wrong decisions, and he's going to give Khalid Sheikh Mohammed a propaganda tool that's going to help the terrorists and not help U.S. citizens.
Do you think that Attorney General Holder should step down?
I wouldn't have hired him in the first place.
Do you think he should step down?
That's up to the president.
Congressman Ryan, you participated in that remarkable session on Friday with the president where for 90 minutes you, the House Republicans, and the president went at it. Here was the president's core message. Let's watch.
They didn't send us to Washington to fight each other in some sort of political steel cage match to see who comes out alive.
Congressman, do you think, from what you saw there, that the president was looking for real compromise and was showing some flexibility on substance, or just looking to score political points?
Look, I think it was great. I'm really happy he came. It was refreshing. It was a good start. That's the first time I and just about every one of my colleagues have had the chance to have a policy conversation with the president. I've never talked policy with him before, so that was fantastic. 2009 was a year of sort of one-party domination, jam things through. Let's just hope that this is a new year of getting things done. The one thing that came out of that is the president actually acknowledged we've been advocating substantive alternatives all year long. So all this business of the party of no has been nullified because the president acknowledged we've been putting up, detailed alternative policies. And so to me, that's the beginning of a new relationship, hopefully. Rhetoric was good. Let's see if it's followed up by substance.
Less than a minute left. The president I want to end it with you, Congressman Ryan, because the president had some nice things to say about you at Friday's session. Let's watch.
I think Paul Ryan's a pretty sincere guy and has a beautiful family. And by the way, in case he's going to get a Republican challenge, I didn't mean it.
Now, there's something else we need to add to the mix, and that is that we have found out that you are speaking at 2 Republican fundraisers in New Hampshire in the next few weeks. When you look at them in the mirror, do you see a president staring back at you?
No, I do not, and I am not running for president. My good friend John Sununu asked me to come up there and help the party. And by the way, I think that was the president's nefarious plot to get a primary challenge against me. I'm just joking. Those comments. That was great. It was really nice to have him, pleased to have him. We just have a huge difference of opinion.
On that rare note of bipartisan good feeling, gentlemen, we want to thank you all so much for coming in. We very much appreciate it. We'll see how much work Washington actually gets done this year.